There comes a time where all things must end. We've had our fun, but now it is time to put to bed the Giant Man. Nice. Hi guys, how's it going? Hello, Editor Kraken here. Welcome. I hope you're doing well. I am doing pretty all right. Welcome to the end of Season 1 of Satisfactory. Satisfactory 1.0 is just literally tomorrow, and I have run out of time to catch up on my editing. So unfortunately, I will be skipping a bunch of the streams for Satisfactory, so there's a few things in here that you may never have seen if you don't keep up to date on twitch.tv/Krakenfall, where I streamed a lot more in this Giant Man save. This video is to kind of close out this save for Satisfactory and get ready for a fresh start in Satisfactory 1.0. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy. It is so nuts that we're finally here at Satisfactory 1.0. So join me in saying goodbye to the Giant Man and remembering all the good times we had. Let's go. What are you doing? He's being patient with me, but I'm going to keep him here for a moment. I think I've decided to start a new save. And I've learned so much about Satisfactory that I kind of have to wipe it clean at some point. I just kind of have to make that decision because there are so many projects that I didn't finish in this save, but I don't think I will finish them. So I think it's time. So I just wanted to have a stream, have an episode to jump in and kind of review Tentacle Town and say goodbye to Giant Man and look at all the all the unfinished projects and the finished projects. Sorry, Hobbs, that was too long. Yeah, so Giant Man is glorious, and I have some backstory to share. Some world lore before we go. Sorry, I'm absorbed in Hobbs right now. This is like the edge of what he is okay with. He's like, please stop. All right. All right. Chest scratches instead. You know what? Let's just start out with a good old cat break. Yeah. Boop his nose. Boop. Boop. He's chill with boops. Steven. Alright, sorry. Didn't mean to bother ya. You may have noticed that we have made a lot of changes to the Giant Man. The Giant Man has a face. And to explain it, I must tell a little story. Once upon a time, there was a man who... Oh, I actually don't have a story for this. The Giant Man is a part of the Fix-It Corporation. He is the only one of his kind to live on this planet. And when Fix-It came, he was like, wow, that matches all my morals. And so he held up the space elevator and he holds the train, the rail system, in his hands. It's like, you know, the whole like justice symbology where you've got the the hammer of justice and then the olive branch or something like that, like for fairness or something. He stands as the arbiter of corporate productivity. One thing. So, you know, this is a stream for remembrance. We get to review all the things, and when I created the Giant Man, I made his belt buckle, which I still contend to this day that is a belt buckle, but man, does it look like something else. over engineering for the lulz. I guess whenever I do things, I need a goal, right? I need to have like, oh, I want to do something artistic. And so I'll do a bunch of mechanical things, technical things to make it happen. So this giant man was one of my first like creative projects that inspired Tentacle Town, which honestly doesn't look as bad as I thought it did. It certainly doesn't hold a candle to LGIO. So many good memories. The rock pillar, yes, that is what inspired the giant man. I was like, that looks suspiciously like a pair of legs. So I had to build something on it. Another thing that I really enjoyed building the giant man is high beams. But yeah, here's the high beams. he's got super nips. I tried to make a hyper tube. Oh, I deleted it. Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, okay, sorry, I'm interrupting myself. I tried to make a hyper tube, the longest hyper tube, to shoot me as high as I could in the air. But it didn't work. It just ended up glitching through the hyper tube at the turns, and it sent me into oblivion. But I seem to have deleted one of the corners, so I can't. Oh yeah, here's the first power plant, which I have fully optimized. You can't, I don't think you can put any more. Wait, this is not the first power plant. This is the second power plant. So one thing I'd like to do in the next save is do things a little bit more organized with how I collect resources. But I haven't actually really thought of a solution, but I would like to consolidate all raw materials somehow. It would be really nice to be able to do that. I think this is the result of the iterative process. I iterated to make it more efficient and more compact so that I could get more out of these processes, like the iron bars. I need a ton of iron bars. And so instead of doing the ground floor, which was like a row of like 10, I started doubling them up into a cluster. And man, does it look bad. Organic development, yeah. I mean, pretty much. Oh, this was the physics test. I was trying to go faster up, but then that was before I realized that you know, there's a rate cap on your vertical speed. This whole thing is just, I operated on it when I needed more efficiency, and that is like the most realistic, in my opinion, development scenario, especially when you're constrained for resources, time, and leader, you know, executive support. If you need me to explain anything, like this is, I totally can, but I'm kind of, you know, glossing over it. This is me trying to be as efficient as possible and go fast as possible because I don't want to work on the nitty-gritty. I just want to work on the giant man projects and the tiers, right? I was working on the tiers. Oh yeah. Okay, and this is a standstill. Is this the output? It is the output. So I think, yeah. Pretty much everything is unoptimized. I mean, I optimized it as much as I needed it. But if, you know, in terms of making sure there's no excess, that was not something I cared about. So I can't promise that the next save is going to be any different, but I am hoping to make things a lot more organized because I plan on using blueprints. I think I'm going to try and speedrun the game until I can get the blueprint maker. And then and then I would like to do organized buildings. I'm going to have some rules to the game about how much I can rebuild, you know? Like, if I build a structure and I need more out of it, rather than getting more out of it, I would like to build a new building. So I think by the end of it, I would like to have a super futuristic city with skyscrapers and warehouse buildings and all that kind of shit. It would be nice. And now that I know like what's on the map, I might start in a different place. I really like the grasslands. This is my first power plant. And look at this little loop of fueling. This is the it's not laziness, but it is like shotgun design where I just wanted to measure the inputs for coal. And so like I'm just going to make sure that I have enough coal on the belt, and then I'll just distribute it in a loop. So there's yeah. This really is suited to my personality. Oh, and this is my computer fabrication. This is my electronics fabrication plant. Which, you know, I really like the design of this, but it ended up being a lot more than just electronics. It became electronics and then supercomputers, which still makes sense, but then it became manufacturing for like the shippables, the I forget what they're called, the things you put into the space elevator. I'm going to use a lot more drones, I think, to deliver. Jenkins! That's my design philosophy. I hate you. I hate it when you do this, Leroy. Are you going to build an Xmas factory? I am. I have one from last year. In fact, it's right there. I got to decide if I'm going to keep the acoustic foam design philosophy, because I think it's the neatest and cleanest design that I can think of. It's very simple to make and straightforward in terms of requirements. Acoustic design does not make the machines less noisy. That's true. So I'm calling it the acoustic foam design because that's what it looks like. But I was going for a brutalist architecture, which I honestly... Oop, almost died there. I honestly really like brutalist design and architecture. I don't know that I would live there like in a brutalist architected house like permanently, but I would absolutely feel at home. So this was my first attempt at an organized factory, but things got so haphazard and like I needed more out of every floor, and so I had to make them compact. So I iterated on its chaos, but I didn't iterate on its design efficiency. Or its visual efficiency, I'll say. This was my first battery farm, which isn't very impressive. This is my first oil farm, or power farm, I guess. And it is sourced by... you know what? Let's use the hypertube. Let's head out to the oil farm. I think we'll stop here last at the nuclear farm. Yeah, all of these unfinished projects, I'm slightly lamenting them, but, you know, rather than giving myself a hard time, I'm just going to let it be. Oh, that's not working as designed. I guess I haven't come up here going this direction in a long time. I never tested that. So, you know, I'm looking at all of these roads. I remember building this road, and it was like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I actually have a road. I didn't use the Explorer for very long, the car, but it did feel nice to have something that was organized and kind of looked sleek. But I can't spend too much time doing aesthetic things. Like, it just burns me out. I gotta figure out a easy and quick design aesthetic that is easy to implement, but isn't detail oriented. Because I'd rather save the detail orientation, like the detail. I'd rather save my appetite for details for other times. Oh man, I haven't thought about it. I really need to figure out where I'm going to start next save. Northeastern forest is fire. Okay. Oh, blueprints. Oh yeah. My next save is going to be entirely blueprint based. I don't know if everything's going to be a blueprint, but I'm going to try and build blueprints for things as much as possible. Dude, I guess that's 100% that, like, all of these buildings you see with the acoustic foam sides, like, those were built manually without blueprints because I waited for way too long. There we go. Turn off the fog. I waited way too long to use blueprints. The only thing I'm sad about is that you can't use blueprints on hypertube designs. I mean, you can, but you have to connect them. It's not as much automation as I'd like. Okay, I think it's time to go to the other side of the map, so why don't we head over to the fabrication facility, where I have... Ooh, travel network. I would love to build a travel network as well. That is something in Minecraft that I always do. It's like the first project I do in Minecraft is build a travel network, which is usually deprecated immediately by nether portals. We also share blueprints for saving sanity. Sure. Absolutely. We could, you know, that would be an interesting Discord channel to make where we share blueprints. As long as it's file safe. I don't know. Wah! Oh no, the power's off. Okay. So this is an unfinished project. I wanted to build a travel network of hypertubes, and I was trying to do it with blueprints. And you can see here, all of these hypertube entrances would blast you into the roof, and they would hit the middle barrier, and then you would continue traveling at the top, and then you would have to control it to drop back down into the entrances. So it was kind of like an active attention travel network, like hypertube. What would you call it? I want to say like monorail or like subway system, but it's like an in-air hypertube way. Skyway, that's what I was calling it. I usually just hop on top of trains and slide jump near the end. That's too boring for me because it's very repetitive. Plus, I like fast-paced scenarios. I like fast-paced fast-paced action in games. It also reminds me of Titanfall 2 with all of that wall running and jumping and jetpacking. And so that is such... I'm so glad that they spent time putting in like jetpacks and slide jumping and all that in this game, because it's legendary. I didn't set a terminal. I should have... I have a blueprint for a terminal that punches you down. All right, so here is... Oh, I forget what it was called. What was it called? I don't remember what this is called. I think it was like Tentacle Town. But this was my first organized factory that I built all of the more complex... Oops. All of the more complex manufacturing I pretty much did here. Anything... I think I did aluminum solutions here. I did the tier 6 and 7 manufacturing here. Like blending and all that. Oh yeah. This was an aesthetic test which never really amounted to anything. It would produce on this floor, the factory floor, and then we would send down materials to the basement or the lower level, which had the train. There was a train station in the lower level. I ended up doing more manufacturing because I ran out of room up top. Crackbutt Industries. Any ideas on the name of your next save? Ooh, that's a good question. Butt crack is hilarious. I agree. That was the... I don't know. It's like helps me laugh at myself. And then we would send up any materials that need to go to other factories. We would send them out in... oops. We'd send them out in drones, which I made Seahawks colors for some reason. I don't really follow sports, but Seattle Seahawks are our American football team. I thought I would do a lot more manufacturing and drone output So I built 4 quadrants of drones in a bit of a mega structure, but yeah, it didn't end up being that involved, so oh well. I need to think of an architectural aesthetic that is modular so I can add to it rather than like planning this giant cube of a factory and then filling it in and like designing each of the spaces within it and having it be less efficient or less aesthetic. I would like to make a modular structure that still feels mega, but then I can add to it as I go. Maybe I could take some design cues from like Star Wars, like the Imperial architecture or something. I don't know. I love the rain noises too. Now, I'm surprised that I did finish the train loop across the map. I looped the train all the way across the map, and one of its stopping points is this oil factory here. I would like to make an oil structure, like a building structure that would let me cluster them a little bit better than just laying them on the ground and then making second floors as I need to. Maybe I avoided shipping oil and fluids vertically. Oops, there we go. I avoided vertical pumping as much as possible. Like I did here a little bit, but I think I'm ready for it next save. Save name Butt Crack Incorporated. That should, if I ever make an LLC, I should name. Although maybe that would run afoul of like decency rules or something. I don't know. I don't know how that works. Will the government get mad if you put the name Butt in your company name? Oh, I gotta go to the nuclear plant. This is my very first nuclear plant. It came out pretty well. It wasn't perfect. I was hoping to have it be more symmetrical inside and out, but it ended up being pretty good, and the power curve, I think, is pretty straight. Yeah. Yeah, I did eventually equalize the... I was just like, yeah, equalize the power levels, but apparently I've got 1 or 2 nuclear power plants turning on and off, so I've got some glitches in the system. Nuclear was fun, to be honest. Like I think I think I probably tried to do too much at once in one stream with nuclear. So I think I can prepare better. Next save. My frame rate is suffering, and therefore my distance is suffering. Hopefully I make it. Oh, I think I'll make it. Oh no! Oh no! Ah! I know I could have moved out of the way, but it was just too perfect. Okay, I gotta remember I don't have my jetpack. I say as I hurt myself. I just need to find the... Oh, it should be right there. All my stuff should be right there. The pessimist sees a dark tunnel. The optimist sees a light at the end. The engineer sees 2 idiots standing on railroad tracks. Yep. Okay, it should be on top of the platform. Okay, here it is, here it is. Okay. I was like, where's the box? Have I lost all my stuff? I thought I was going to have to dismantle the train track. I don't know why I decided to make Giant Man more ominous. I think, oh, you know what it was? It was originally going to be a Krakenfall head. And so Krakenfall has red eyes, like red gleaming eyes. But then I switched to a man head. And then I gave him fangs for some reason. And then I was like, well, why is he holding the space elevator? Right? So I leaned into the other side. I haven't seen Giant Man's World for a long time, and my worst fears have come true. Let's Game It Out has too much influence. Yeah. You know what's funny? Pretty much like a month or two after the Let's Game It Out reaction started and then the Satisfactory gameplay started, I was diagnosed with ADHD. So it's like, oh yeah, that makes sense. I think the capability for the Spaghetti Town was always within me. Let's Game It Out just unlocked it. Okay, can I jump up with a little bit less force? Nope. I gotta wait for the manta to come. Okay, actually, probably can make it now. Just in case. Oh no! No! Okay, now I gotta race. You realized how much work the tentacles are? Yeah, pretty much. I spent probably 2 or 3 offline sessions prototyping them, and that's why I had the blueprint designer next to it, and you saw the tentacles. It was a lot of work, and I couldn't make them look good. Where's the manta? Oh. Oh, he hadn't even reached that far yet. There we go. Now don't drop under his head this time. There we go. Yeah, the tentacles, I couldn't make it look right with the depth because if you look at the giant man, the tentacles would look too small. It'd look like spaghetti spaghetti strings on his face. I forgot about this. This was poorly planned as well. Thankfully, you can just jump right back on him. I do like the manta ports. There goes the Kraken Express. Can you kill the manta? I no, and I wouldn't want to. I personally play games. I was gonna say something that wasn't universally true. I try to play games as I would act. Like I try to act in games as I would act in real life. That's not always true, of course. Like, you know, I've definitely saved in Skyrim and then killed the whole town and then reloaded. Just to see if I could get the guards. But like, when it comes to wildlife in games, I generally try not to kill. No, I never gave the giant man back. Oh, I think I tried to. I couldn't make it slanted. I wanted to make it curved, like in. I wanted to make it slant in. Oh man, what a fun time. I had dreams of 69. I might make a skate park in the next save as well. This is an explorer. I was trying to make an explorer loop. I had plans to make all of my factories as organized as this one. This is the one I did a video on reorganizing factories. But it didn't end like I didn't end up like it's very organized. Everything's like very repeated and symmetrical. But I didn't end up getting that far because it's just so much work for just it to look okay. Which I don't need it to look okay. I need it to work. Oh, let's look at our unfinished projects now. So besides, just random, what's the camera mode again? Is it P? Yeah. Random belt just terminating nowhere. Besides the spaghetti cleanup I have a lot of unfinished projects. Although this isn't one of them. This is just my blueprinting facility. One of my dreams for this world was the live stream of supplies. So this is my supply depot. Oh, I haven't shown you the supply depot. Let's show you the supply depot first, and then I'll show you the live stream of supplies. Hey, Maintenance Bronze, you should do a beginner guide on Satisfactory. Ooh, I don't know if I'm qualified for that. People will criticize my hyper focus on function over form. It could be fun though. That's a good content idea. So this is my supply depot, which may be the most organized thing that I've ever built. I had plans to make. You can see. Nope. P. You can see I had a walkway up there that I was building, but I never finished it. Whoop. But everything is labeled, clearly labeled. And besides the random offshoots of like supply lines that I built haphazardly, everything is very organized. You should put your save on Discord for archival purposes. I could. Yeah, I'll consider that, truly. Very cool, thank you. Yeah, it worked out. And I also prototyped a stairs setting, but these stairs are like too... They're not steep enough for my liking, so I ended up not using them. But I never fully committed to not using them, so I kept it there to remind me. It's got a sorting system underneath, which I didn't build with enough clearance, so everything is like very truncated, and I have to crouch to get anywhere. But you can see each of these has sorting rules. I wish they would let you do some logic. So I wish they would add something like a redstone system, so you can do conditional logic and stuff like that. And then also not only conditional logic, but quantity, like rate limiting, because I would like to be able to deterministically set the flow of resources, rather than kind of having to, like, you can do like rough math with how the rates that you add things in, and then it's supposed to merge those rates together when you merge into a splitter, or whatever the receiver is of a splitter. But it's not perfect, and it's subject to error rates. And so anything that you try and merge of multiple types of materials will get clogged up if you don't handle it in some way. Lack of control logic makes trains very frustrating. Exactly. And I think that's by design for them, because they want you to be like, they want it to be a Mount Everest for you if you care that much about the specifics. I've got all of these 4 columns. I send resources down, and I send them to the nether regions. And by nether regions, I mean under the map. And before I continue, I think I was talking about something, or I was answering a question. I can't remember. So let's spend some time remembering that. So as you can see, it's a lot of resource flow, and it outputs all types of resources into a train system. This train system is designed to send resources all around the map, and I just never finished it. So why don't we make a train? So you can't really see, but we are straight underneath the map. And yes, this was inspired by Let's Game It Out's crazy train system underneath the map. But I was like, why not hide all of the ugliness of a resource management system underneath the map? I think I just passed a resource node, and that sent it to, you can't really see the nuclear farm over there. So I did get use out of this resource network. It's a cool tunnel. Thank you. It's It was all blueprints. Blueprints made this possible. As soon as I used blueprints the first time, I was like, oh, I'm going to make a big tunnel. It was kind of a pain in the ass. You can see these lights aren't on for some reason because there are some glitches with power cables when you make them with blueprints. I didn't really know about that. So sometimes you got to delete the power nodes or the power hookups and then recreate them and it'll work. This is another planned train station, which I never finished building, but it is right around here, which I don't remember exactly, but I think I've built some stuff over here. Oh, it's the, that's what it is. It's the Tentacle. It's the Butt Crack Industries factory. So I was gonna send materials back and forth. And I don't really need to fix this because I'm not going to use it. I did continue with the tunnel, and I was going to send it over to a node, like a train station node, over in the Badlands, or whatever you want to call it, the desert, because I never really spent any time. You can see I went over there once, but I didn't do it completely. And then I was going to make a train station in the jungle, and then I was going to send it back over to the supply depot. So I got about half done with this underground network. I gotta say though, I've really enjoyed Satisfactory. Satisfactory has been like one of the most fun games I've played in a long time. Like in terms of building, like it is strangely like Minecraft in terms of the creative possibilities. But there's a lot more like world building than Minecraft, if you know what I mean. So I love it. I cannot wait for the story in 1.0. Oh yeah. There's another unfinished project, which I'll show you here. I probably won't go to it. One of the resource nodes for the above ground train was going to be the giant woman over there. But I never made it. I started to make it, but I just didn't get that far. Rest in peace, giant woman. I'm sorry I couldn't make you. Oh yeah, and then the nuclear facility, I would say, is probably the most successful unfinished project. Oh, another thing I wanted to do was make something on Paradise Island. Didn't they say that they weren't going to get rid of Paradise Island, but they aren't going to do anything with it? Because they announced that they were going to get rid of it, and everyone was like, no, don't get rid of it. How do you navigate this place? With elbow grease and and perseverance. All right. Nuclear facility, you know, went pretty well. I was using 100% blueprints as much as I could. And I had each of these floors, which you can see all the red platforms are the floor of the story of the building, like, you know, the stories of the building. The only problem was that there was so many details and connections that I didn't account for. Dang it. And I tried to make these buildings, which were very ugly. This is why I don't want to do rectangular buildings, because it just looks ugly. And I made these aesthetic side faces of each of my blueprint modules, but they didn't end up being that like very good, in my opinion. So I didn't anticipate all of the connections between the floors and the modules for the nuclear power facility. In fact, if we look at the blueprints, I've got nuclear, and you can see every manufacturing cell that I made, like, is very self-contained. But then when you need to connect them and like, okay, well, let's say ECM rods, for instance, or no, uranium fuel, for one instance, needs ECM rods at 5 per minute, encased beams at 3 per minute, encased uranium cells at 50 per minute, and it outputs 1 fuel cell per minute. And so that's nice. Those are units per minute. That's nice, but then the ECM rods, encased beams, and uranium cells have to be gotten, like I have to ship them to this cell, this module, uranium fuel module. And ECM rods need copper ore, deuterium ore, and steel pipe, and it ships out to 5.2 units per minute. And so like every unit has its own inputs and outputs, and how you get them there, it became like a big spider web to get them all put together. So inside each of these stacks, these nuclear buildings, is just a giant web, a grossed web of compact spaghetti. And it just didn't like it. I did not like it. And to get it working mostly good, it was a lot of work. So I would still like to shoot for a full contained nuclear facility with modules in order to like manufacture for, you know, the fuel needed and output and plutonium recycling. But I'm definitely not going to do it in this form factor. I wanted to make them aesthetic. So I might do it in like a building, or like have a floor for like a wide floor for nuclear and then a wide floor for plutonium. But then that'll be it. I don't know. And then each of these stacks, this is everything that's needed for one self-contained, I think it's 5 nuclear power plants in here, plutonium manufacturing in here, and this is plutonium particle accelerators. So it didn't work out nearly as well as I thought it would, and so that's why I didn't really continue, because I got them working, I got enough power for everything I needed for now, and that's it. No need to continue. But I was hoping that project would be a bastion of organized, non-spaghetti bliss, and it ended up being much worse. Oh. Oh, to be a mask. A floating mask in this wide world of manufacture. Oh. I'm gone now. I am not a mask no longer. Have you ever turned down the shadow quality and looked at your player character's shadow? It's hilarious. I have not. Oh. Yeah, it's just like the hypertube. Average body, yeah. It's an unattainable beauty standard. I see some of the map hasn't been explored. I think I'm going to leave that for next save rather than going and exploring everything. Oh, you know what? I did have a project out in the Red Forest. So, oh, there we go. This is the first time I used the blueprints to build like a factory module, and it worked out really well, I think. Although it looks like it's at a standstill now. Maybe where did I ship the outputs? Bauxite in. Oh. Oh, I didn't ship them anywhere. I just built this and got it going and then it didn't do anything. Wow, that's funny. I'll probably do a lot more of these, which are resource platforms, where I'll have just a digger.
For yeah!
Or sorry, a miner and rudimentary manufacturing to send out ingots. Actually, that might just send out raw ore via drones, but I do enjoy that. Ooh, purple. What a landing. Sorry, giant man. Manta is here. Got it. I couldn't pass it up. I was gonna land on the giant man's head, but the manta is a bigger W. Cool. Well, it's been a great world, giant man, Tentacle Town. A lot of fun. I won't forget you guys. As we move on to a new save with greater possibilities, new lessons learned. Hopefully I don't have quite as much sprawl. I drink to you, giant man. Cheers.